On the outskirts of a forgotten town, shrouded by an ever-present fog, stood an ancient mansion known as Blackwood Manor. It was a relic of a bygone era, abandoned and decaying, its windows eternally shuttered. Most townspeople dared not venture near, haunted by whispered legends of the manor's sordid past. But Lydia, a young anthropologist determined to decipher the enigma of Blackwood Manor, was not like most people. She believed that the mansion's secrets could bring her fame and recognition. Little did she know, her quest would awaken an ancient evil. One autumn evening, Lydia arrived at the manor, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The iron gates creaked open under her touch, and she stepped into the overgrown courtyard, her footsteps crunching on the dead leaves. As she approached the front door, it swung open as if expecting her. Lydia hesitated but then entered, her flashlight revealing cobwebbed corners and dust-laden furniture. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something sinister. Hours passed as Lydia explored the mansion. She found nothing of significance until she entered a small, candlelit room hidden behind a tapestry. The room was devoid of dust, as if it had been recently occupied. On a wooden table lay an old gramophone, a record already in place. Curiosity getting the better of her, Lydia cranked the handle and lowered the needle. The room filled with a haunting melody, a tune so eerie it sent shivers down her spine. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and Lydia's breath became visible. She tried to lift the needle, but it was stuck, and the music continued to play. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes glowing a malevolent red. Lydia stumbled back, her flashlight clattering to the floor. The figure spoke, its voice a guttural whisper that echoed through the room. "You should not have come here." Frozen in terror, Lydia watched as the figure advanced, the room growing colder with each step. She reached for the flashlight, but her fingers were numb. The melody grew louder, almost deafening, as the figure's eyes pierced into her soul. With a final, desperate effort, Lydia pulled herself up and ran towards the door. But the mansion had other plans. The walls seemed to close in, the corridors elongating and twisting, leading her in circles. Behind her, the figure's footsteps echoed, slow and deliberate. Lydia realized she was no longer in control. The manor itself was alive, a labyrinth of nightmares. Her strength waning, Lydia stumbled into the grand foyer, the front door now in sight. Summoning the last of her courage, she lunged for it. The door burst open, and she tumbled into the courtyard, the fog swallowing her whole. The haunting melody still echoed in her ears as she staggered away, never daring to look back. Lydia escaped Blackwood Manor, but she was never the same. The haunting melody followed her, a constant reminder of the terror she had unleashed. She sought help, but no one believed her. In the end, she became another whispered legend in the forgotten town, a cautionary tale of the anthropologist who dared to uncover the secrets of Blackwood Manor. Evelyn never believed in ghosts or curses, but when she inherited the old Harrington estate from her estranged aunt, she found herself questioning everything she knew. The house was nestled at the edge of a dense forest, its Gothic architecture casting a foreboding shadow under the pale moonlight. On her first day, she felt an unsettling chill as she crossed the threshold, her footsteps echoing in the vast, empty halls from a bygone era. The place was filled with relics and antiques that looked as if they hadn't moved in decades. Little did she know, they would be moving soon enough. That night, Evelyn lay awake in her room, the canopy bed stifling her with its heavy drapes. She was a light sleeper, and every creak or groan of the house jostled her nerves. Around midnight, she heard a peculiar sound, like the scraping of wood against wood. Her heart pounded. A rational voice in her mind suggested it was just the house settling, but curiosity got the better of her. Throwing on her robe, she ventured out into the hallway. Her breath caught in her throat as she descended the grand staircase. The chandelier swayed gently, though there was no draft. She flicked on the hall light, but the dim bulb only added to the murky gloom. Her eyes widened as she reached the living room. The antique sofa and two armchairs had moved, forming a tight circle around the coffee table. She was sure they had been arranged differently earlier. She tried moving them back, but they felt as if they were anchored to the floor. The next morning, Evelyn found herself questioning her sanity. She chalked it up to fatigue and the eeriness of the house. However, the second night brought more strange occurrences. The dining room table was now pushed against the far wall, and every chair was stacked on top of it, as if some invisible hand had been playing games. Her unease turned to dread when she discovered claw marks on the hardwood floor leading into the kitchen. They were fresh and deep, gouging into the wood with an almost sentient aggression. Terrified but determined to uncover the truth, Evelyn did some digging. She found an old diary hidden in the attic beneath a floorboard. The diary belonged to her aunt, who wrote about strange nightly occurrences, but it also hinted at something darker, a ritual performed by the original owners of the estate.